Some nights stick with you forever, not because of what you saw, but because of what followed you home afterward. I've tried to convince myself that what I experienced in that old apartment building was just exhaustion, just stress, just my imagination. But the truth is I moved states because of what happened, and even now I still hear it knocking sometimes. This story was sent in by Aaron Delgado from Portland, Oregon. Last year I moved into an old 4-story brick apartment building downtown. The place had character, creaky floors, antique fixtures, and a layout that felt like a maze. It was old enough to be charming, but cheap enough for someone like me to afford while starting over. The manager was a quiet, older guy named Henry. He handed me the keys with a flat expression and said, "Most tenants keep to themselves. If you hear noises at night, it's just the pipes." That was a strange thing to say before anything even happened, but I brushed it off. I was exhausted from moving and just wanted a shower and sleep. The first night was peaceful. The second night was not. Category B, weird incident. The environment itself subtly changed or worked against me. I woke around 3 a.m. to a soft tapping sound, not from the pipes, not from the walls. It was coming from my apartment door, gentle, slow taps spaced 10 seconds apart. I sat up in bed, heart ticking in sync with the sound. I wasn't expecting anyone. None of my friends had my new address yet. Tap. 10 seconds. Tap. I walked to the door and looked through the peephole. Nothing. The hallway was empty, dimly lit by the flickering overhead bulb. I brushed it off as maybe an old building quirk, settled back into bed. The tapping started again, this time from the window. Third floor window. I rushed over and yanked the curtains open. Nothing was out there, just the empty courtyard and the rusted fire escape swaying a little in the wind. Tap. Behind me. The door again. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning I found something new outside my door. Footprints. Bare, dusty footprints leading away from my apartment and toward the stairwell. Only one set, only going one direction. I went to Henry's unit downstairs to ask if any strange tenants lived on my floor. He didn't open his door fully, just a crack wide enough for one eye. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I said slowly. "Just something weird happened last night." He didn't blink. "Pipes," he said flatly. "It wasn't the pipes," I replied. "Someone was tapping on my door and my window." His expression changed. Not scared, not confused, just annoyed. "Don't open your door at night," he said. And he shut the door. That was my second warning sign. I tried to go about my day like everything was normal, but the entire building felt subtly wrong now. Hallways slightly longer than I remembered, the elevator moving slower, the lights flickering more often. And the neighbors, the few men who lived on my floor, didn't speak. They didn't make noise. They didn't even acknowledge me. I'd pass them in the hall, and they'd walk by with perfect posture, expressionless faces, and eyes that followed me just a fraction of a second too long. I told myself to stop overthinking. That night I cooked dinner, watched a movie, and tried to ignore how cold the apartment had become. Around midnight I heard footsteps, slow, heavy, right outside my door. I turned off the TV. Silence. Then, knock. Not tapping this time. A deliberate knock. 3 slow hits. I held my breath and approached the door. Whoever was standing on the other side wasn't trying to hide it. The knocking came again. I looked through the peephole. What I saw wasn't possible. A man, a tall, thin man I had never seen before, was standing at my door. But he wasn't facing me. He was facing the wrong direction, turned completely away from the door, staring at my hallway wall as if it were the most interesting thing in the world. His arms dangled at his sides, his head slowly tilted like he was listening to something inside my apartment. Then he spoke. "Aaron." My name. My blood turned to ice. He said my name in a voice that didn't match his posture, didn't match his body, a voice that sounded like it came from right next to my ear instead of through the door. "Aaron, open." I stepped back so hard I nearly tripped. The man's head twitched turned toward the door, but his body didn't move. His face pressed unnaturally close to the peephole, stretching into the fisheye lens. No blink, no emotion, just a wide, too-human smile that didn't belong to him. If you're enjoying these true horror stories, make sure to subscribe to Ultra Spooky and hit that notification bell so you never miss when we upload new nightmares. He said the entire line in my voice, every syllable perfect. My hand went numb around my phone. He leaned closer, his eyes bulging slightly in the distorted peephole view. "Open," he whispered, in Henry's voice this time. That broke me. I grabbed my jacket, threw it over the peephole, and backed away from the door as quietly as I could. The knocking stopped. Silence. I stayed up until sunrise again, never daring to open the door. When morning came, I found something shoved under the door. A piece of paper. On it was a hand-drawn floor plan of the entire building. My unit was circled in red. And beneath it, "You're in the wrong room." I didn't know what that meant. That day, I marched straight to Henry's unit and demanded answers. But when he opened the door, something was different. He looked drained, pale, his hands trembled. "You tried to open your door, didn't you?" he asked quietly. "No," I snapped. "Someone was outside my—" He cut me off with a slow shake of his head. His eyes shifted to the stairwell. "They follow the ones who answer," he said. "They don't follow the ones who listen." "What does that even mean?" I asked. He closed his eyes, exhaled, and whispered, "You need to move. Today." I packed instantly, but something wasn't right. The hallways were wrong again, longer, dimmer, stretched like the building itself was warping. I hurried toward the stairwell, but every corner I turned looked slightly unfamiliar. That's when I heard it. Footsteps, behind me, soft at first, then faster, then impossibly fast, like someone sprinting barefoot down the hall. "Aaron." My name again. I didn't look back. I ran down the stairs 2 at a time, gripping the railing hard enough to burn my palm. The stairwell seemed endless, spiraling deeper and deeper instead of downward. When I finally reached the lobby, I burst through the door and nearly collapsed. All 3 of the neighbors from my floor were standing in the lobby. Perfect posture, expressionless, head slightly tilted, watching me. I pressed myself against the wall, heart pounding like a drum. One of them stepped forward, not blinking, not breathing, just staring. Then he spoke in a voice that wasn't his. "You're in the wrong room." Suddenly, all 3 turned simultaneously toward the hallway behind me. Something was coming. I bolted out the front door and didn't stop running until I reached the street. I didn't go back for anything. I didn't check behind me. I didn't slow down until my lungs felt like they were tearing. 2 blocks away, I turned to look at the building. All the windows were dark, except one, my old unit. Behind the curtains, a silhouette stood perfectly still. Tall, thin, tilted head, watching me. I moved to another city the next day. New job, new building, new everything. But every few weeks, without fail, I find something slipped under my door. A hand-drawn floor plan of the building I currently live in. And always the same circled room. Not mine, but 1 floor below. I don't know what happens if I ever knock on it. I'll never find out. I hope. This was just one of many terrifying true stories from the ultra-spooky archives. Stay tuned for our next tale of horror.